Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org with a video tutorial for the new Boston. In this example application, we're going to be creating a form field that allows a user to enter a username, which is then checked against the database values in the users table. So over in my database, if we just go over here, you can see I've created a database called jQuery, and I have a table called users. I've got some randomly generated usernames based on names and numbers, and there's 60,768 of these, so we have a lot of data here. Now our goal in this tutorial is to create a dynamic username checker which checks a username as the user is typing it and tells them if it's available. So essentially we're looking through a large group of data, and we're going to show a very brief loading sign or a loading text as it's searching. Let's just say we had a million records in a table, or in fact we had let's say this amount of large text. We could go ahead and you could go ahead and implement this into other uses, for example a search engine or something similar. So our basis of this is searching this table using an AJAX call, a post HTTP request, to check if a username is available. So this is our document. I currently have nothing on the page. Let's just take a look at the files that we're going to be using. Now users.js I've included on my page, and this is going to be essentially the basis of our application. We're going to have a check here that will check on a key up event for the username in the database. It's going to send an HTTP request to this username check file just here, and this username check file is going to return whether the username is available or not. db.php is just going to connect to our database. So inside index.php, let's go ahead and set this up. The first thing we want to do is create a form field. So this is a text input type, and we're going to give this an ID of username. Now I'm going to place a span next to this with a relative ID, and this is going to be username status. Now what's going to happen is, as we start typing into this text field here, let's just go and preview it in our browser. As we start typing into here, our span is going to first of all show a short loading symbol, or you could incorporate an image into this. Then what's going to happen is we are going to display whether the username is available or not inside of this span, and that's going to be handled by users.js, and obviously, like I've already said, it's going to call username check to actually perform the background server-side processing in PHP. So the first thing we want to do is check that a key has been pressed down in here, or a key has been pressed down and has come up. So for example, that would be a key press or a key down, but the keys also come up. So we're checking it on key up, just so we can return an absolute value. So we'll go ahead and do that. We need to use a selector to select this username ID. So we use hash username. Then we say .key up, so we've created the event handler just here, and inside there we want to create a function, and this function is going to run when a key is up. So we can test this by just saying alert and just say key up, for example. So let's go over to our browser. When I type a key down, as my key comes up, we have this alert box to alert us that an event has happened, as well as a backspace as well that will show the same thing. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead, and the first thing we want to do is grab the username from this field. So the field is called username. We've given that an ID of username, so we can use the same selector, or we could use this .val, which would be a lot more efficient and appropriate, and then I'm going to go ahead and alert username. So the username variable in JavaScript will now contain the value of this username field here, which is the field on our page here. So now that we've done that, we're alerting out the username. Let's go ahead and test that out. I'm going to type A. You can see that's relayed A back to us. I'm then going to type L. That's relayed that back to us. So we're getting an absolute value of anything we type into here. And let's just get rid of that. Okay, so now that we've done this, we need to go ahead and change the username status span to loading, and then immediately after that we're going to use the post HTTP request to check this username check file, and we're going to be connecting to the database as well. So we're going to go ahead and change the username status span, and we're going to change the text of this to searching. Now this will only be briefly shown, however, like I mentioned earlier, if you had a lot more records than this, or you had some large text, it might take a little while longer. Sites such as Twitter use a check similar to this, and obviously it takes a lot longer. Despite them having millions of users, it takes slightly longer to actually check whether the username is available.